We all have those things in our house that are really just not pretty, but we can't live without. Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett, and in this video, we are talking about ugly home essentials and how we can elevate them and upgrade them to create beautiful spaces and not have that one ugly thing just on the floor in the corner that we have to have on display. We are diving into these ugly home decor essentials because on this channel we talk about interior design and how to elevate and upgrade your lifestyle. So be sure you are subscribed to the channel and you have the bell notification turned on to get notified every time I upload. Give you a second to do that. And let's get into the video. I want to start this video out by telling you that sometimes you're looking at these magazines and you're seeing things, you're looking on Instagram and photos. These ugly essentials have been removed, okay? They're still there, they're just not in the photo. They've been airbrushed out or edited or whatever. So don't worry too much if you have these in your space because that's just real life. That's just how we live, and sometimes you have to have those essentials because they're essentials. The first of those essentials that you all have told me, how do I address and what do I do about because you just cannot stand seeing them sitting there, are waste receptacles. I hope that's right because I'm just trying to say like garbage can really nicely. Garbage cans are essential because we have garbage and that's just what it is. There's not a ton you can really do. In terms of a kitchen, I always like to have a garbage can built into cabinetry because you just don't want to have that out on display. I know for me in my house, if I have a garbage can just sitting out there, Linus is going to get into it. He will get into it, he's gonna jump up, he wants to see what's going on in the garbage can. It's not happening for me. Gotta be tucked away, gotta be put somewhere that it's out of sight so that I just don't have to see it, but also so that he's just not getting into it. Because this dog, if he can get into it, if he can make a mess, he will, he lives for it. It's mostly just because he's spiteful, but that's not the point of the video. I like for them to be tucked away when they can be. It's also nice to strategically place a garbage can in another room. Maybe you have a living room where you need one. You can kind of tuck it away behind a sofa or in a corner behind a little table. Bathrooms are places you kind of just have to have them, and it's not always easy to disguise them. If you are in that situation where you have to see the trash can, look for a beautiful object to use as the trash can. You can find them that are stone and marble, maybe travertine. Terrazzo is really big right now. That's a great item to get a little garbage can and a little trash can in your bathroom in terrazzo. Love that. Something that maybe matches some of the little accessories you have around the sink. That's always great. Be sure to check out my bathroom trends I hate and decor video. A lot of people ate that up and loved it. But the garbage cans, you just kind of have to accept the fact that they are going to need to be there. For me, it's either something with a lid so I don't have to see the garbage in it, or I'll reuse a different type of container. It might be like actually, I really love silver-plated champagne buckets as garbage cans. If you're in a public area, that's always a nice place to just invest. It has to be there. You kind of need to have it in the bathroom for people to use. Change them out often. There's nothing worse than like you go into a guest bathroom and there's a garbage can full of garbage. Be swapping that out, but most importantly, look for garbage bags that are decomposable. There's nothing worse than sorting out all your recycling and getting everything separated and having like only compostable items in your garbage and then you're wrapping them in a plastic bag. Makes no sense. That, you know, that environmentalism is a huge focus in my life and something I really focus on in design and also my lifestyle. And that's one of the things that you can really enhance a space and you can do that is going to be very environmental but won't have a massive impact on the way you live. I'm always a person that believes that if it's going to be difficult for people to do, they're not going to do it. And that's one of the things that can be really easy and make a big impact. Now, the next ugly essential that you all have been asking me about, and actually quite a lot, is the ceiling fan. It needs to be addressed. We need to address the ceiling fan because it's an essential. Some people have to have them. I would definitely recommend testing out what it's like not having a ceiling fan in your space and see if you like it or not. For me in my home, ceiling fans don't always work that well because we're very allergy prone people in this house. They just move all the air around a lot and we're not really that into a ceiling fan. I always have ceiling fans wired in though because a lot of people like them and a lot of people need them. What I recommend is that If you don't like seeing the ceiling fan, if you're really not the biggest fan of it, you're like, I have to have it because my partner, my spouse, my kids, whatever, need to have a ceiling fan, you can always get one that matches the color of a ceiling. Like if you paint your ceiling black, you can get a black ceiling fan. A lot of people have white ceilings, get a white ceiling fan. It won't completely eliminate it from the space, but it will create the illusion that it's not there. It's not going to be distracting to you to see it there. Also, just get a ceiling fan that maybe matches your hardware, that matches the style of your home, something that's a little bit more flush to the ceiling. I do not like a ceiling fan that impedes on any sort of headspace. I don't like for them to be anywhere near me. I want them to be up and out of the way. That's always a good tip. But there are certain styles that I almost expect to see a ceiling fan with, just because that's the nature of the style. For example, mid-century, there's a lot of amazing ceiling fans out there that are really cool, really work beautifully with a mid-century style home that can be incorporated into those designs, and they look like they're supposed to be there, and they look actually really good. Another style that if I walked into a home or a space or a hotel, a restaurant that was this style and I did not see a ceiling fan, I would actually probably be a little bit upset, is like British colonial. This style is really tropical, really beautiful, has those island vibes that are really beautiful. It has a lot of natural vibes that are really amazing. And you see those like big fans, ceiling fans. You see those ceiling fans where the blades look like leaves. I expect to see those. Like I need that in this space because it's giving me that authentic character of the space. It's giving me the like Tommy Bahama vibes that I need from that style, and I love it, and I think that's really fun. There are always styles that are gonna work with a ceiling fan, and there's always a ceiling fan that will fit your style. The one thing I'm not a fan of is the fandelier, where it's kind of like chandelier meets fan. It always looks like a fan to me. Like I don't ever look at it and I'm like, is that a fan? Is it not a fan? I feel like you can always tell. If you like them, obviously do what you want in your home. No shade to the fandelier lovers out there. Love that for you. I'm just not the one. There's a lot of cool floor lamps that are really amazing right now. We're seeing a lot of innovative designs and technology that are really cool. And these, while obviously it looks like a fan, it's not an overhead fan, because I always think that a light fixture, like a central light fixture, is a really great decorative element, even if it's not something you necessarily need or will use. So to have something beautiful there as opposed to a fan is always nice. And you know, if I have a client that comes to me and they say, Garrett, we have to keep the ceiling fan, we keep the ceiling fan. It's not that big of a deal. It's not gonna make that world of a difference. But I would say, look for a ceiling fan that is going to work with the style of the space. And ceiling fans don't have to be expensive either. They don't have to be cheap. I wouldn't say go and get the cheapest ceiling fan you could, but you don't have to spend a lot on a ceiling fan that will work with your style and the space. I know you are eating this up, so be sure you take just a second, we'll give it to you, to hit that subscribe button. Do it, it's right there. The next thing you all have asked me about, how do I work with, how do I work around, incorporate into a space, are pet essentials. Specifically, you wanted to know about pet beds, cat trees, and litter boxes. So let's dive into it. The pet beds. I love a pet bed. I think it can actually be a really quirky and fun little object to incorporate into a space, into a room. It's always nice to have a place for your animals because they live in the house too, right? This is their home. So I love to see a little pet bed, but I think you can elevate them in a lot of ways. Specifically like a dog bed. I feel like do cats have cat beds? I feel maybe they have little beds or something like that. And this will probably work for them too. The dog bed. I don't personally enjoy just like the big pillow kind of dog bed on the floor. I think there's a lot of really cool things you can do with a dog bed that will elevate it. I always like to see a little built out, you know, like they make these like trays that the dog bed sits in. I like those, they're really fun. There are also some that are like almost like barrel-like. Those are really adorable and cute. Love those for a dog. I could totally see Cornelia sitting in one of those. But one of my favorite things to do for pet beds is actually a little bit different, because for me and my dogs, I insist that their bedding is always clean, it's always changed, because they deserve it, and that's what I like. And so I don't just like to see a pet bed sitting there, because I find that the fabric oftentimes does not wash well, and it's not waterproof, and then you have to wash the inside of it. It's just a lot. My dogs like cots. They have a cot that they all sleep on. We have to get a big one because the three of them always want to be together on it. And then I will actually take a blanket, a quilt, maybe maybe it's a duvet insert, and put that down for them. Depending on the time of year, I change what type it is so that they're temperature regulated. But they always like that, and then I can wash that bedding every day, every other day. On laundry days, I can do it. That way it's always nice and fresh and clean, but it's also not going to be difficult to clean. I always like that. Something else I've done that's really fun, I don't currently have in my home because my dogs just like the cot the most, is you can get actually like a leather cushion, like a nice square one built into a frame. That'll look beautiful. And the reason I say leather, it's cleanable, it's wipeable. You don't necessarily have to throw that into a washer to make sure it's staying clean. You can also get waterproof pet blankets. They're always really fun, and they like sometimes they'll have fur ones and all sorts of stuff. Those are really cute, and you can kind of just lay them out on a sofa, an armchair, or whatever it is your dog likes to lay or sleep on. That way, the dog is not getting the chair dirty, and then you can also make sure it's constantly cleaned for them, because you don't ever want to have like a dirty pet bed, because it's just going to bring that like pet smell in. Plus, I don't want to wash my dog for them to go lay on a dirty bed. You know what I mean? The next thing you asked me about is the cat tree. I have a love-hate relationship with the cat tree because, first of all, I'm just not a cat person. Love cats, love that for you. I don't have cats because I like actually kind of allergic to them, but not the point. The cat tree is essential for cats because they like to be on trees, I guess. I just don't think I've ever seen a cat tree that I feel like was elevated enough. I feel like there's so many opportunities to do like a really cool cat tree. Like these cat tree companies totally need to upgrade them. Why is it like the vertical elements of it are not a beautiful wood? You could do them in oak, you could do them in walnut, you could do something really fun. Why is it always like builder grade carpet that's on them? Like why not a velvet? Why not something beautiful like that? That's also just as easy to maintain and actually easier to clean than carpet is. Like velvet, cat hair and dog hair in general, that's why I mostly have velvet in my house, does not penetrate the actual fiber. It just kind of sits on the top and you can vacuum it really easily. I feel like cat trees could be really elevated in a beautiful way, but what I would recommend, find one that matches your color scheme, and then either put it in a window if the cat likes that. Maybe they like it tucked into a corner. If you have a random kind of little niche, tuck it into there. They're gonna like that. They're gonna enjoy it, because a lot of people don't realize animals actually enjoy slightly more closed spaces. It makes them feel a little bit safer, a little bit more protected. So having that cat tree or cat bed, dog bed even, into a more concealed area, whether that's like under a table, next to a sofa, in a corner, actually makes them more comfortable and makes them want to use it more. Cat trees, they're essential, but you can find a beautiful neutral option that will match your home. Also, if you've ever made one and you've like elevated it, or you know where we can get elevated cat trees at, let us know in the comment section down below, because I could really use the resource on that one. Last but not least is the litter box. And obviously not ideal, something we have to live with because your cat is going to need it, but there's always a place or a way to tuck it away, conceal it, make it not obvious in a space. You know, a lot of people will put them into like secondary bathrooms or whatever. That's always okay. I always like when I see them like tucked into a hall closet with like an actual little pet door to access them. That way it's out of sight, it's out of mind. It's not something your guests are gonna engage with. It's tucked away. Obviously you don't wanna have like a litter box and like a linen closet, because no, but if you have a closet of cleaning supplies or something, that could be a good place for that. Point being, you wanna have that kind of tucked away somewhere convenient enough that the cat can get to it and that you don't have to look at it constantly, but you don't want it to be somewhere that you're gonna be like out of sight, out of mind, because definitely need to clean that up on a regular basis, so you wanna have access to it. The last thing we are going to talk about is cables and wires and what to do with them, what your options are about them, because there's nothing worse than a beautiful space and seeing just like wires hanging down. It's not ideal to have wires exposed, but if you're plugging something in, you're gonna need a plug, you're gonna need to have a cable to it. That's just the reality of it. What a lot of times you are seeing in these magazines, on Instagram or whatever, is that the wires are being airbrushed out. So are the outlets, or they might just be strategically placed so that you don't have to see them. Like if there's a lamp in that photo and the lamp's not on, probably not plugged in. That's just the reality of it, and it is what it is. You obviously have options, and the first is getting some sort of cable cover. These are always really great because they're paintable. They just stick on the wall. You run a cable through them. You can paint them to match, wrap them in the wallpaper, whatever it is, and they kind of disappear. Now, you're obviously going to see them to some extent because they're just stuck on the wall. But it's kind of better than seeing some cables just sagging there, hanging out or whatever. A lot of times what we do when designers are brought into a project, if we're brought in early enough, we can strategically place outlets behind a piece of furniture, slightly here, slightly there, whatever, where we can then hide those plugs and outlets. You know, I can have an outlet moved up strategically so it's right behind a table and you're not gonna see the plugs. But that's not always a situation everyone is in. A lot of times what people also will do is take lamps, remove the wiring, and then use rechargeable light bulbs. Not ideal because now you're kind of like messing with the lamp and the actual usability of it. I'm just not the biggest fan of that one. I think it's fun for sconces. Like if you're having a sconce put in, you can use a rechargeable light bulb if you don't have wiring there. That's something easy. You can also get like a plug-in sconce. That's another place that cable management is great for. You just want to be strategic about what you're doing with the cables and also the type of covering, the placement, where it's going. You don't want to have like extension cords running everywhere because that's actually a fire hazard. Not the point. Cable management is something that we plan in the design process because you just don't want to ruin a beautiful space by having a ton of wires or cables hanging out. You know, something else that always looks really, really amazing is when you have a TV mounted. I always recommend you have a professional contractor of some sort come out and do this for you. They can actually run cable behind a wall, like the drywall, by putting in some holes. Like I said, have a professional come out and do it for you because you want to make sure you're not going to hit anything within the wall. You want to make sure everything is up to code, but that's always a really good option for hanging TVs. That's something really beautiful. It's going to give you a clean and sleek space. But maybe you're in a situation where you're renting and you can't just put holes in the wall. That's another great place cable management systems are good for. And if you strategically place some decor, you can actually cover that really beautifully. That's always nice. Wiring and cables are just a part of life in 2021, 2022, whatever. It's modern life. We have cables. We need to plug things in and charge them in. So be strategic about what you're doing and think about it, but don't necessarily go overboard trying to hide every wire and cable. Because like I said, if you're looking at a magazine or photos or Instagram or whatever, they're airbrushed out of those photos. That's just the fact. It's just the truth and what we do to give that seamless, perfect, clean look, even though that's not how we actually live. Well, there you have it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. But also share with me, what are some of those just ugly essentials you have to live with that you're like, Garrett, what do we do about? How do we elevate and upgrade? Share that with me in the comment section down below because I want to hear from you and maybe we'll have a part 2. Who knows? I also know that you know someone that has one of these things. Maybe they just don't understand not having the litter box out in the middle of the living room. Maybe they have wires running around. I don't know your friends, girl, but you can always share this video with them because friends help friends. And I will see you in the next one.